meteorologist Christopher Colley.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into Chat City with P. Ross. Conversations and interviews are in the queue. Listen or join in. Here she is, P. Ross.
Greetings, everyone. You tuned in to another show, Chat City with P. Ross. I am your host, P. Ross, and I'm excited to have in the building with me today Mr. Sean Mangroo of Big Sean's Pit Stop and Catering. Welcome, Big Sean, to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wait a minute. My house applause. I got to give you that. Yes, and today is Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Big Sean, it is Groundhog's Day. Do you know anything about Groundhog's Day?
A little bit.
Well, it's my understanding the groundhog did see his shadow. Okay. So that means that we have 6 more weeks of winter.
Wow.
Yeah, so that groundhog, I think his name is pronounced Punxsutawney Phil. I think that's how it's pronounced. He's a groundhog that they use to predict our future, our weather, and it said that 40% of the time he is correct.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I wouldn't bet on it, but we'll go with it.
We'll go with it. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they gather somewhere in Pennsylvania every February the 2nd to see if the groundhog sees his shadow. Mm. And if he does, then that's what they say. We get 6 more weeks of winter. Okay. And I'm going to say, unfortunately he saw his shadow. I don't care for too much more of winter. I'm ready for spring to get here, I think, and that's that. We also have this month, February is Black History Month. Yeah, it is Black History Month. And every Thursday in February that we're on the air, we're going to spotlight or feature someone who's made a difference, an African-American who's made a difference in the world. And for this week, we're going to talk a little bit about Mary Jane Patterson. She was the first Black woman to receive a bachelor's degree, and she did that in 1862.
Wow.
She's the first recorded Black American to do that, and she was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, right here in Raleigh. So she was born September 12th in 1840. September 12th, 1840, and she died in Washington, D.C. on September 24th, 1894 at the age of 54.
Wow.
Yeah, so Mary Jane Patterson, she attended Oberlin College in Oberlin, Ohio, and her occupation was teacher and principal during her time. She was also a humanitarian, and she was very active in many community organizations in her area. She was a pioneer in education and paving the way for other Black women to become educators.
Very, very, very cool.
Yeah, I think that's real good. So look her up. See if you can find more information on her, and that is Mary Jane Patterson, who was born right here in Raleigh, North Carolina. In celebrity birthdays this month, we have singer Bobby Brown, one of my favorite artists. He was born February 5th.
Mine too.
Okay, all right. Michael Jordan, basketball star.
Okay.
He was born February 17th.
All right.
We have Donald. There I go. Can't read my writing again. I'm sorry, but he was a Donald. Oh, I can't read my writing. Donald Pryor, a former American football player.
Okay.
He was born February the 5th. He was a football wide receiver. Forgive me on that. I got to do better with my writing. Comedian actor Chris Rock also has a February birthday, February the 7th.
Okay.
And singer actress Brandy, born February the 11th. We're going to say happy birthday.
Happy birthday
to those great people.
That's cool.
Now, something I would like to do, being that I'm an African American, is to encourage not only African Americans, but everybody to try to buy black this month. And why buy black? I'm going to give you 9 reasons. It helps build community. It also helps to strengthen your local community.
For sure.
It shapes your character. It also plays a role on your taxes. So with more efficient land use, it comes a demand on getting highways and things of that repaired. And it also helps with lowering your taxes. So that's something to think about during Black History Month. All right.
Great information.
Choices is another reason why you should purchase black. I mean, you may not can find something of ethnicity in your local store. So try a shop that specializes in African American products and see if you can find something there. Maybe something different there that may be beneficial to you. So try that. Another reason to buy black, it allows business owners, especially small business owners, to give back to their communities.
I like that.
So that's another reason why. And you can increase your community wealth that way as well. You can look this up and more information on blackdoctor.org. Just reasons why you should buy black. But I also want to say, don't buy black just because it's black. Make sure it's a good product as well, okay? So that gives the other person on the other end a responsibility to make sure they're serving their communities well. It's like, don't just pick me because I am black, but because I also have a great product to serve you with, okay?
Totally
All right. All right. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross. I'm your host, P. Ross, and we're on Oak 93.5 WRLY in Raleigh. My guest today is Big Sean Mangroo, owner and operator of Big Sean's Pit Stop and Catering. He is my guest today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And so Big Sean, he's an experienced chef. He's been in this business for over 22 years. He's classically trained as a pit master. So I'm going to stop right here and ask Sean, what is a pit master?
Well, I'm classically trained as a chef.
Okay.
A pit master is, somebody that has learned how to use wood and fire pretty much to prepare different kinds of foods, mainly meats. But it takes a long time to become a pit master. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm still probably in the middle of some really, really great pit masters out there. But I'm striving to be one of the best at it. And I just added to my repertoire as far as, from a culinary standpoint. And I, offer that as a service as well.
Okay. So tell us, what made you take on the career of chef?
When I was, when I was young, I had a young family coming up. I was trying to find consistent work. When I was in high school, it was one of the things I was considering becoming a chef, going to culinary school. I didn't take that path right away. Maybe a couple years after high school, I started working as a line cook. I worked as a line cook for a few years before I went back to school. But I was just good at it. It was something that I loved to do already. And I was good at it commercially. I moved up wherever I went, wherever I worked. So it took me down the road of just kind of like perfecting my craft and, building on the experience of that skill set. And then, of course, going back to school and getting more knowledge to just be as good as I can possibly be took me down the path. And here I am today, 20-something years later.
Okay, great. Big Sean, now you grew up in East Orange, New Jersey, is that right?
Correct.
Whitney Houston's from East Orange, or lived in East Orange at one time, didn't she?
I I believe Whitney Houston's from West Orange, New Jersey.
Where is it? West Orange? Okay.
Yeah, but she's the same area. I think it's Essex County.
Okay. Yeah, I know she also had ties to Newark, New Jersey, because I
Correct.
lived in Newark, New Jersey at some time.
Yeah.
But tell us what life was like for you living in East Orange, New
That's
Jersey.
a great question. I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey.
Okay, I heard of Hackensack.
So I moved to Jersey City, New Jersey. Most of my family is from Jersey City, New Jersey, on my dad's side. From there, my mom and dad moved to East Orange, New Jersey. I was like 10 years old when we moved to East Orange. East Orange, New Jersey is like a suburb to Newark, New Jersey. Just like West Orange and East Orange, we kind of like those towns are like right next to Newark, the city of Newark. East Orange is like a byproduct of Newark, the city. It was, for me, inside the home was very loving and being taken care of very well. When I went outside though, it was a different kind of a beast. As a kid growing up, being just my brother and I in East Orange, all my cousins kind of got left. We left them behind, moved out 30 minutes, 45 minutes away from Jersey City. We was by ourselves, so I had to toughen up. You know what I mean? I had to be able to look after my brother and myself when we went outside. It wasn't easy, you know what I mean? But we just learned how to survive and learn how to stand up for ourselves in the lovely city of East Orange, New Jersey. But to be quite honest with you, it shaped and molded a part of my character. It taught me how to persevere and push through and stand up for myself. And it really helped build the character of myself as I became a man years later in East Orange, New Jersey. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, you said you started like you got interested in this type of business as starting as a line cook and things of that nature. Now, was that in East Orange as well, or did you migrate to North Carolina by that time?
By that, I migrated I migrated to Virginia before I got to North Carolina.
Okay.
I finished my last 2 years of high school in Virginia, Newport News, Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So after I graduated high school, a couple years removed from high school is when I migrated to North Carolina from Newport News, Virginia. That's how I got to North Carolina.
So what was Newport News, Virginia like for you?
Suburbia, for me, moving from a place like East Orange, New Jersey, where it was just, like the inner city. Newport News, Virginia was more suburb-like, but still had its own identity because it's a town right outside of a military installation, Fort Eustis, Virginia. So where we lived was close to the base, so you had a lot of military kids, but then you had the natives that lived there as well. So it was a melting pot of people that lived in that area. It kind of opened my eyes to diversity in the school system. You know what I mean? Where I come from, there wasn't a lot of diversity, but when I got to Virginia, that's what I saw. I saw a lot of for the first time, I rode the yellow bus, to school, or some of my friends had cars, you know what I mean? So those are the things that I wasn't used to where I was from, in East Orange, New Jersey. So it kind of gave me a broader perspective of just people in general as a kid growing up.
Okay. Now, you said diversity, and I know one of the things you pride yourself on is your array of foods, your diversity of foods. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my mom, on my mom's side, my mom is Guyanese, so on that side of my family, I'm Guyanese. So
Guyanese. Okay.
We hail from Guyana. That's a small country in South America. I think it's the only non-Spanish speaking country in South America. It's more considered to be a part of the Caribbean islands. With that being said, my mom's side of the family is. My grandfather was Indian. My grandmother was my grandfather was Indian. My grandmother was Chinese. That was the background. So the food on that side was really Indian, Caribbean cuisine. So a lot of curries and stuff like that my mom used to prepare. So I had that, but then my dad growing up, it was a lot of American Southern style food that I saw. So I think that became my personality culinary wise.
Okay.
So I'm American cuisine based, fused with Caribbean style, and of course our roots go back into the South. So Southern side, classic Southern sides, and just smoking meats where the pit master comes from. I kind of like took all that together to become who I am today.
I'm getting hungry just listening to you right now. I mean,
Yeah.
listening to how you infuse all these dishes in together.
Yeah.
Give us a sample of some of the dishes that maybe the American dishes that you infuse with your Caribbean style dishes.
I like to do something that it's like a chow mein. It's a Guyanese dish. It's kind of Indian inspired, but I like to use smoked meats when I make it. So it has like lo mein noodles with a lot of vegetables in it, and I'm kind of like infuse smoke into my chicken and kind of combine all that together. That's a pretty dope dish.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. So you've had some training. You enhanced your skills in what you know about cooking. Tell us some of the places where you've got your training.
I've worked a few different places. I think when I first started out in food service, I worked as a dietary aide / a cook's assistant. I think that's where I kind of like really began my start. Kind of went from there in that space at a nursing home in Peekskill, New York, Cortland Nursing Care Center. And from there, I got my first line cook job at a steakhouse somewhere close by to that nursing home. And then from there, I kind of migrated back to the South, Newport News, Virginia. I worked for Cracker Barrel for a few years. I think that's where I really honed my skills as a line cook. And then, I traveled one state over to North Carolina, went back to school. I worked for places like Lone Star Steakhouse. Where else? I worked for a company called Let Me Cater to You in Fayetteville under Chef Judy's tutelages. I worked at a place called Glen Senior Living Facility, where they have like a state of the art kitchen. They do kind of like upscale food for the residents there. I worked at a few different places. I worked for a place in Fayetteville, one of my favorite, restaurants I've worked for. I worked for them for a long time. JK's Deli on Rayford Road in Fayetteville. It's a staple in Fayetteville. Been there for like 30, 40 years. Greek owned. They do American food, Greek food. They do a lot of breakfast and lunch on the weekends. I probably worked for them for about 11 years. Love those guys down there. Really good people, and I kind of like, I really, really, really got used to, learning how to run a business because of the close interaction with the ownership. That's wow.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: you did attend Fayetteville State University, is that correct?
No, Fayetteville Tech.
Oh, Fayetteville Tech University. So, what did you study when you entered into Fayetteville Tech?
Culinary arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like for you.
It was pretty cool. I mean, they kind of go back to the basics. You know what I mean? By the time I went back to school, I was already maybe about 8-9 years into working as a line cook. So I've had all the basic skills, just fine tuning, the history of culinary arts. They kind of like create this environment where you learn more than just how to cook. You learn how to be safe in the kitchen. You learn how to keep clean in the kitchen. You learn, the human interaction, like the psychology of dealing with people when you're working in restaurants. The science behind cooking. Like it's a lot to go along with that process. But all of it kind of matters. It teaches you how to purchase products. What procurement means and how to source food and and the things you may need to do a catering event or to just open up a restaurant. It teaches you how to build a menu or how to price your menu items, those things, stuff that you don't learn as just a cook working at a restaurant on a regular basis, because every restaurant or food service facility is different. So you don't really, so it has its own identity. But going to school it generalizes the information where you understand how to break it down and what it all means overall to be in a culinary field.
Okay. So at what point did you say, okay, I want to take this a step further and I do want to go and get this additional training? I don't want to just cook. I want to know more about what I'm doing.
Living in Fayetteville, North Carolina, it's a smaller market. And, as a line cook, if you're aspiring to become a chef and you want to move up, you want to go into management, you want to own your own business, etc., it's hard to move up in a smaller market, not necessarily on the entrepreneur side, but more like working for companies. So you're competing. You're competing against your peers when it comes to putting in those resumes, and and you're also competing against who you know and who you don't know. So that inspired me to go back to school. Having a family that I was trying to provide for, and not just provide the basic, just give us a better life, inspired me as well to go back to school to give me an advantage if I was going to move up in any way, shape, or form.
Do you keep in touch with some of those students that you've gone to school with, just to see where, and where are they today and what they're doing? If they,
I do. Yeah, a few of them. One of my good friends, we went to school together. His name is Munchy Mike.
Munchy Mike.
Yeah, he need to be on this show. He's this guy is inspirational to me because we kind of similar, you know what I mean? But he, when I met him, he already had an ice cream truck. He already, he was already, aspiring to open up his own restaurant. And I had the same ideas, but I was a little bit behind when it came to the entrepreneur side of things. And he just really, I was already going in that direction, but he really put the battery in my back. And he inspired me to kind of keep going, keep pushing, you know what I mean? And if you really believe in yourself and, the doors are not opening with some of these companies, maybe maybe it's a good idea to get out there and start your own business just to see how it can work out for you. So, guys then some other people I'm still in contact with, through Facebook, and we may see each other in the, on the street sometimes, and we build or we support each other's businesses. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We have a caller on the line. Thank you for calling Chat City. State your name and where you're calling from, please.
Drika, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hi. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you.
Talk to us. What's on your mind today?
All right. Well, I just had a question for Chef Sean. Just wanted to know if he's going to be doing any upcoming events or pop-up events, particularly for Super Bowl. Is he going to be pre-selling plates, or is he going to be pre-selling plates for Valentine's Day or doing private dining?
Good question. I'm still in the works of doing some dinner plates for Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl. I'm not quite sure yet. I do have some things in the pipeline. I'm going to Houston on the 18th. I have an event with the Alzheimer's Association, so I'll be in Houston that weekend. And that following weekend, I have it's a birthday party. It's a Mardi Gras theme. That's going to be in Greensboro, North Carolina. That's what I have coming up in the pipeline, this month. But potentially I may do something for Valentine's Day. I'm still working on it, though.
Okay, caller.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you for calling in, and stay tuned because we're going to ask Big Sean about some Valentine ideas. Okay?
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right. Big Sean. All right. Now, something I found interesting is that you have a manager. Mm-hmm. And I've never heard of a chef having a manager. I always picture or imagine a chef managing themselves. Tell us about that.
Very interesting, very organic. My manager, her name is Shadrika DeSermo. She supports all the things that that takes me away from working on what I do best, which is preparing the food. Like just building the relationships, making the phone calls, writing up the contracts, making sure invoices are being taken care of, et cetera, et cetera. She just helps like fill in that void, that gap between, me being a successful chef, and me becoming a really good business owner. I think there's a difference. You have to, you aspire to be, entrepreneur. It's good. But when you get on the other side of that, you have to understand business. You can be self-employed all day long for whatever you decide to do. But once you decide that you want to go to the next level, you have to know the difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. And sometimes,
I'm gonna give you a house applause on that one.
Sometimes, with that being said, you have to reflect on what your purpose is, and you have to understand you can't do it by yourself. So you have to build a team. And it takes more than just yourself sometimes to get to the next level. But you have to have like-minded people, or you have to understand that you don't have the answers, so you go out and you seek out professionals to answer those questions for you, and you bring them on board just from a business perspective, a business aspect, and pay them for their services to help you. But you have to understand that that's what it takes to get to the next level, because I can't prepare all the food and answer all the phone calls all the time. Right. So, when in the beginning, yes, it works because, you don't have as much business, but when your business is growing, and you find yourself busy more than not, you have to be able to, understand what the next level looks like and build that team around you. And Shadrika is that person for me right now, because she just understands. She understands what our purpose is. She understands the field, and we work well together. So, yeah.
Okay, Shadrika, you get a house applause here, and tell us, Chef Sean, how did you find Shadrika, or did she find you, or how did you come together?
A very good question as well. Me and Shadrika met each other very organically, just through dating. We met each other and became friends, and then we started dating.
Oh, okay. Okay, so she's a companion. All right.
At this point, she is.
All right, awesome.
Just recently proposed, so she's my fiance.
What? All right. Hey, I would like an invitation to the wedding. Okay.
For sure. Yeah. So we're getting married on June the 3rd. So she's way more than just a business partner. But what's important about what I just said is we understand the difference, right? So we're well seasoned and have lots of experience in the culinary field. She does and I do, which had nothing to do with each other. We just met each other organically. It just so happened that we shared some of the same passions. And, she believed in me, to be quite honest. And sometimes it takes people believing in you on a different kind of level, not just, I see your food is good and I'll see you next time. No, it's more like I see what you're doing and I believe in you. How can I help you?
Okay.
Type of support. And that's what Shadrika brings to the table. I believe even if we wasn't dating, we would definitely be really good friends, and it would be the same outcome, whether we were dating or not, because we share similar interests, and we both believe in each other. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Yes. So who's the better cook? Shadrika or you?
Oh man, I think we both bring something different to the table.
Okay.
Maybe well-rounded I am, but like Southern, the Southern girl, like raised by her mom and her grandma, that kind of food, she got me.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 FM, WRLY in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have in the studio with me today Sean Mangroo of Big Sean's Pit Stop and Catering. All right. Sean, now you started out in New Jersey, moved to Virginia. What brought you to North Carolina?
My cousin, he was stationed in Fort Bragg.
Okay.
He retired maybe like 5 years ago, but yeah, Keith Morrison. So Sergeant Keith Morrison, he brought me to North Carolina. So he was like, man, look, a lot of work down here. You got a great skill set. You got great work ethic. You know what I mean? Like, you got a young family. I think you guys will, I think you would kind of thrive here. And that's how I got here. We're more than just cousins. We're best friends. So, we've been, we got right out the sandbox together. So, he inspired me to, motivated me to try something different. And that's how I got to North Carolina.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Now, what makes you, Chef Sean, different from all the other chefs and caterers out there?
That's a good question. I think, my approach to what I do, it's really, it really embodies like integrity, compassion, love, honor, respect. I think, just the principles and morals that I stand on, on top of my professionalism, to go along with my personality makes me different from everybody else.
Okay.
I take a different approach to what I do, especially in the catering world, because it's a really it's a huge space to navigate. So I like to stand out by first of all my food being good. You know what I mean? Like I let that speak for itself, and then the way I handle my business, I'm consistent. You can count on me. You know what I mean? I keep my word. I do all the things I can that people appreciate. You know what I mean? From a professional standpoint, that keeps me going. That keeps my phone ringing. That past customers that I've dealt with, some of them I have now I have a relationship with, because we just the vibration was so good that they we have a relationship. So they call me back for work all the time. I think that's the difference.
Okay. All right. Now, usually when we hear the word wedding, we think of caterers.
Yeah.
We need that perfect caterer for our weddings. It's big and it's important. Food is a big part of any wedding,
For sure.
most of the time.
Yeah.
All right. So weddings, large events. What advice do you give potential clients when they're seeking that perfect caterer to host their event or to provide the food for their events?
I think they need to really take a look at what they want overall. What they're looking for as far as food and service. And then, have a price point, and then, kind of like take that information and then begin to search. Because what's happening now is that there's so many options you may have, but you really don't know who you're dealing with. And, when you go to the top of the list, it can kind of price you out sometimes, because those guys are so busy that they can just create prices however they want to, because they've been around for so long.
Yes.
Right? And as you get down to the middle of the bunch, you may find, the right price, but the food may not be that great. And then when you get down to the bottom, you may find real good food, but execution is not good. So I think you really just have to, take your time, understand what you're looking for. If you have a budget, understand what that budget looks like, and then, just go at the, start at the top, the middle, the bottom, try everybody out if you can, and then make the best decision you can.
Okay.
Financially.
All right. So sample menus, I would say, aren't a waste of time. They're actually a good thing. Do you think?
Oh yeah. Sampling menus is very important. I believe. I do a complimentary tasting. You know, if I had to travel to you, I probably would charge you, you know, because I'm traveling. Because I think that's what I'm doing right now. I will come to brides and grooms, put in the taste my food. But overall, I do complimentary tastings. But yeah, tasting food is very important because people can cook, but can they cook for a lot of people?
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So that's the real question. You can be in your kitchen and you can do your thing, and you might be able to prepare 4 meals and it tastes good, looks good. But can you duplicate it 100-fold? Can you make enough food for 200 people and all of it tastes the same? That's the real true question when you talk about catering. So it's important to look at the track record of us caterers out there and taste the food, and then, you know, of course, like, kind of get together and feel the vibration, like see what it's like interacting with the people that's going to be preparing your food, because you do want them to, you know, you do want that to be blessed. You know what I mean? Like, you know, as anybody who blesses food at any gathering we have, it's important that you pick the right person to prepare your food.
That's an excellent point. Yes, yes. Now, let me ask you this. What do you do about those? I mean, say you have, you booked an event, 200 people are scheduled to be there. You got to feed 200 people. But there's that one person that has a special dietary need. How do you handle that?
Hopefully, I've asked all the right questions before the event. You know, that's one of the things that's very important to us now, is that we ask if anybody has any dietary restrictions. Mainly because we don't want nobody to get sick. And then also gives us a heads up to how we're going to prepare the food and what's the best way to go to make sure that this person or a few people get what they need without risking anybody having any allergic reactions or anything like that. So I just really, through consultation, that's one of the biggest things that we talk about is diet restrictions or, you know, anybody allergic to anything beforehand. So we should have that under wrap prior to the event, so we're already prepared before we get there.
All right, sounds good. Now, in this industry, I'm pretty sure you have, hospitality most certainly is big. It's a big, important role to what you do, and you kind of touched on that earlier on. Well, how do you coordinate all of that with what you have in mind to do with event planners and other people that, you know, you have to team or couple with to handle one major event or any event?
That's a great question. I think you have to understand the industry that you're in, in the sections of the industry. Like, for example, with weddings, that's a big portion of the catering world. Most caterers, that's what they're after, weddings. You have to build relationships. You have to go to networking events. You have to do wedding expos and, you know, stuff like that, and build relationship with a lot of the event planners that's out there, so that you have them on hand, and vice versa. You'd be surprised that if you're connected to event planners, and you have a good relationship with them, they're gonna call you, right? So, and vice versa. So I just think that getting out there, networking, getting to those networking spaces, building relationships, and talking to people and knowing who's out there in your area, that's the number one thing you should probably be doing, because it takes you a long way. You know, I know for me, being new to the Raleigh area, as of last year, that's one of the first things I did. I got out, I went outside, and I started, you know, getting into the rooms and building relationships. And that's why, you know, I am where I am today this year, is because of all the relationships that I built in this area from last year. And I think that's the number one thing I can tell, you know, private chefs and caterers, if they're trying to get out there and do their thing, to build the most relationships you can with event planners, you know, and then, of course, like, you know, the venues. A lot of the venues in this area have preferred lists. It's very difficult for catering companies or private chefs to get inside these venues, because you have to be sometimes you have to be on a preferred list. If you're not, then they won't even, you know, if you have a prospect or somebody's looking at you and you're not on that preferred list, you can't even do the job. Right, so that's another section you can look at too. Look at some of these venues and make some phone calls. Some of these venues that's in the area is not very diverse, so you can start there and begin to ask questions. Do you guys have a certain type of caterer on your list? Are you looking to add more caterers to your list? What is the protocol for getting on the preferred list, et cetera, and then begin to put yourself all over the place wherever you can be.
That's good information. You've been listening to Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh. I have in the studio with me today Chef Sean Mangroo of Big Sean's Pit Stop and Catering. He's given us great information on what it takes to be a chef and how he's been successful here in the Raleigh area. If you have any questions for him, feel free to call us at 919-899-9305. That's 919-899-9305. Chef Sean, how do you handle yourself under pressure?
Very well, I would say. I believe that's where I thrive. I think, in the food service industry, on the restaurant side of things, as a line cook, I had to learn how to work well under pressure. In some of those environments, they call it organized chaos. So that's number one thing is to be organized. It's going to be chaotic, maybe for a couple hours, but you keep your cool and you stand your ground and you learn how to work well with others, and you understand what teamwork means, and you carry professionalism everywhere you go. That's how I move. I work well under pressure because of those things, and along with my morals and principles, I try to stay as calm and cool and collected as I possibly can everywhere I go.
Okay. Now, what's most important for you as a chef and as a caterer?
What's most important is cleanliness and just being able to provide a service that's that has a certain standard about it. You know what I mean? Like a care. Like, I care about what I'm doing. I care about the food. I care about the experience that people are going to have. I care about whoever I'm providing a service for. Understanding, what's at stake. How much money they spent for me to be a part of their big day, and what that means to them. So I think you got to care about what you're doing and carry yourself with some honor and respect, and and compassion. All those things will take you far.
Okay. All right. And if you weren't a chef, if you weren't catering, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. I just like to spend time with my family. I'm a chef. I'm a poet. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a cousin. I'm a best friend. I'm a mentor. I'm a lot of things as a man. And living in North America, especially as a black man. So I would be doing whatever my heart desires, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of things I love to do. I love to hike. I love to travel. I love to make music. I love to cook. I love spending time with my daughters, and I love being with my family whenever I can. So I will be doing one of those things you'll find me doing.
Now, you said poetry.
Yeah.
Do you have any poetry you can spit off the top of your head and you'd like to share with us right now?
I didn't come prepared.
That's okay.
Maybe on the next time you have me on, I can spit some poetry for you guys.
And we'll definitely bring you back on. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, what's your signature dish, Chef Sean?
Right now, one of my signatures is famous. It's locally famous, but it's famous. Is my macaroni and cheese.
Okay, macaroni and
I
cheese.
think I make the best macaroni and cheese in North Carolina. Shout out to all my chef homies that, I'm saying this too, but hey, I think I got the best mac and cheese on the market. I love to make curry. I love smoking meat, so I like to smoke and barbecue brisket, stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a restaurant anywhere, or do you do food truck service?
I do a lot of pop-ups right now. So I have a smoker on wheels. So I will show up to an event. I will set my tent up. I will light my smoke up, and I go to work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do a lot of festivals. I mean, people call me for all kinds of stuff. I might do a flea market, the Black Farmers Market. I do. If people invite me out, or I see something that's I do breweries, stuff like that. So in the spring and summertime, I do a lot of pop ups.
Okay. What's your most memorable and favorite encounter, or I'm not going to say encounter. What was your most memorable or favorite? I'm lost for words. What was your best event that you've worked at or done?
There's a few of them. I think one of my favorite events is one of the first ones I've ever did. I had this is when I first got started and going into the direction of entrepreneurship. I purchased this smoker on wheels. I spent like $350 on this smoker. It was a beauty. It was used, but it was in good condition. And a friend of mine from Fayetteville, Anton, he was an AAU basketball coach. So he was trying to raise money for his team, and we went out to the flea market in Fayetteville on the Bragg Boulevard Flea Market in Fayetteville. Anybody from Fayetteville, they know what that is.
I know.
And we went out there and we set up to raise money, and we had so much fun. We had all the basketball players. I had a couple of my younger cousins with me, and we raised money for his team. And it was one of the first moments where I realized I had something, because people that worked inside the flea market, was just buying our food, and it was we had a lot of success.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That sounds like a lot of fun too,
Yeah,
and something most definitely to remember. When we posted our show today, we also mentioned that we wanted to touch on tipping people in the restaurant industry. My brother-in-law and I got into a short conversation on this matter on last Sunday when we sat down as a family to eat. Yeah. And there was like 15 of us in the party. And he made mention of our one waitress who tried her best to handle us. She just lost some money off of her tip. And I'm like, why? And he described or explained why that he would do that. But I too used to be a server in the food industry, in the restaurant industry. So I know the back end of all of that. You have to not only show great hospitality, but you work hard behind the scenes to make sure you're getting that hot piping food out to the customer in a timely manner, or you could risk losing a good tip or some money there. So I thought I'd just touch on that, and especially that I have a chef in here with me today on some tips on how to tip. And I'd like to say, first of all, I think it's rude to not tip.
So do I.
It's very rude to not tip servers. I think a lot of people don't understand that a lot of them are at like a wage of $2.01 or $2.10 an hour. It's been a while since I've done that, but they count on making a salary from you sitting in their sections and at their table. So we want to just encourage you to tip your server, and especially if they're good. Yeah. And especially if you come in with a party of 5 or more, and if you're the one that got that or booked the seating for your party, make sure everybody there is tipping if you're not going to put a tip on the table. Talk that out with those sitting there at the table. Don't leave without doing that.
I agree.
You agree, Big Sean?
I agree. I think working in the restaurant industry for a lot of years that I have, I worked closely with servers for a long time. Shout out to JK Deli Servers in Fayetteville. My lovely ladies down there. I love you guys. I just think about them all the time because it's been the same crew for God knows, I don't know how many years. They don't get old, man. They just keep getting younger and younger, and I don't know how they do it. But I think of them all the time because they work hard, and I mean, you have those that may make it tough for other servers that don't do a really good job. I mean, that's the nature of business in general. But overall, generally speaking, servers work really hard. They work. You don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. They're going in 100 directions at one time. They have not only do they have to serve you, they're serving others while they're serving you. So you're not the only table. You got to think about that. Then they have to run food. They have side work. They're doing a lot of stuff at one time. So that should be taken into consideration. And they're only making $2.13 an hour, most of them. Plus tips. So I encourage people to tip. I believe I think the size of the tip could be based on the how great the service was. But generally speaking, yeah, I think, my opinion now, I think 18% is a good number. You know what I mean? Like, that's just where I think of it is, for servers as far as tipping is concerned. And everybody should tip because that's how they make a living.
That's right.
That's how they make a living, and they're working hard.
Right.
And those numbers are not changing right now with what they get paid per hour. So it's something to think about when you go out to a full service restaurant and you're tipping.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking 15% start, a minimum start to tip. And keep in mind, too, that if you stay longer than 45 minutes to eat your meal, that server, you want to tip a little bit more if you're staying more than that time because that server is counting on their tables to turn or to flip. And if you're there more than 45 minutes, more than an hour, more than two, well, I don't see you staying there longer than 2, but if you are, consider that, tip even more, because, again, they're counting on you. And then some places require that their servers share their tips with bus people that are bussing the tables and things like that. So that money gets divided. It's not just for them sometime. It gets divided. Yeah. We also talked about Valentine's Day coming up on February the 14th. We wanted to share some ideas on what you could do differently than what you've been doing, with your special loved one. Chef Sean, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think you gotta know your partner. I think you start there. You gotta know your partner. And for all the guys out there, know your woman. Know her. Know what she likes. Even if you're on a budget and you can't do nothing extravagant, it's just the little things that matter. Like the things that she likes every day can make her day on Valentine's Day. So just think about that. Just know what she likes or know what he likes and kind of focus there. Yeah.
That's good. One idea I have is maybe if you don't want to go out to eat and fight the large crowds that may be out there, why don't you hire a chef to come to your home or some place nice and snug for you and your special loved one and have your food made on the spot or catered in nice music. Maybe hire a saxophonist or a pianist or somebody like that. Add that into the evening, something like that.
Give guys ideas out there. Okay.
Yes. So that's something to think about as well.
That's dope. I like those ideas.
All right. So, all right. Any other ideas? How about a meal? What's a good meal for Valentine's Day? Chef Sean.
I mean, we know what the ladies like. They like lobster, they like shrimp, they like crab legs, they like stuff like that. So I think, steak and lobster.
Steak and lobster.
I don't think you never go wrong with
steak and lobster.
Surf and turf. I don't think surf and turf.
Surf and turf. Okay.
With a loaded baked potato and some seasoned broccoli, maybe some asparagus. Broccolini, stuff like that. I mean, great dessert. I think you can, some good wine or some champagne. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong, to be quite honest.
Okay.
You never miss.
All right, that sounds good to me. All right. And tell us what we can do. Say there's a family that's really struggling, Chef Sean, with feed. Say there's a mom or a dad or parents that are struggling to feed their family. Give us some ideas on what they could do to make a meal that'll spare. I mean, what am I trying to say? Make a meal that would
a meal on a budget.
On a budget,
Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah, this is easy. You gotta know what it is to struggle in order to know how to make a meal on a budget. That's my thing. So, I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's funny because I think of my daughters and they, we used to buy oodles and noodles and like the packs and stuff like that. And just to have something for them to eat, on a fly, they get out of school, we at work and stuff like that, they can just grab stuff. And they used to tell me all the time, like, let's just say we was on a budget, we didn't have a lot of money, and everybody was eating oodles and noodles or something like that, and they would say to me, well, you don't eat oodles and noodles. I'm like, well, when I grew up, I never ate it as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, so that's probably why I wasn't really into it. But I think, they understood the mission, right? So I think on a budget, you can do all kinds of things. You can buy a couple cans of tuna fish and make some tuna fish sandwiches. You know what I mean? And with some SpaghettiOs or something like that. I think of breakfast for dinner. You know what I mean? You can get you a dozen eggs, a bag of grits, and a pack of bacon with some biscuits. You have a whole meal for like $20. There's so many different things you can do. The small little pot pies you can buy, I don't know how much they cost today, $2 for one or something like that, and feed the whole family. One potter, that's one of the things I love to do. You do a one potter, make like a pot of spaghetti, like get you a pack of ground beef and a couple packs of noodles with some sauce, and you got you a meal. You might be able to eat off of that for 2 days.
Yeah.
That's under $20. You can feed your family. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
For sure.
Sounds good. Chef Sean, who's your biggest influence?
Wow. That's a good question. Who's my biggest influence? To be quite honest with you, I mean, I look to the sky, and I say that with respect to my ancestors. I think of, those that came, before me, my mom and, God bless the dead, and, my grandparents and my uncle, people like that. The ones that's amongst the living today, my aunt, people that, just played a difference in my life growing up. That's who inspired me, And then I look at my children every day to get inspiration every day. So that's where I find inspiration, like closest to me,
Awesome. That's beautiful. All right. Sean, it's been a pleasure having you here on the show with me today. We'll love to have you to come back and do this again with us.
I'll bring a poem next time.
I'll bring us some food, man.
I'll bring you food. I'll bring you some food too. No doubt, I got you.
All right. All right. Yeah. So you've been listening to Chat City with P. Ross on Oak 93.5 here at our new time, 3 to 4 p.m. on Thursdays at Oak 93.5 WRLY Raleigh. Chef Sean has been my guest today of Big Sean's Pit Stop.
Thank you so much.
And Catering. Chef Sean, how can we get in touch with you?
You can catch me on Facebook at Big Sean Pit Stop. You can catch me on Instagram, Chef Sean 7. You can find me on those social media platforms. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great week.
All right.
Community Radio, WRLYLP, Raleigh.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to oust Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Iran says preliminary evidence suggests that Israel was behind an attack on a military factory. Top European Union officials are in Kiev for the first